YouTube, what's going on guys? It's your boy Mac. Today's video, we are going to be breaking down how I manage risk as a Forex trader. This has been a well requested video, so let's jump right into it. All right guys, so I'll try and keep this as short and sweet as possible and right to the point. So to start off, how I manage risk as a Forex trader is I only take A+ setups. What do I mean by A+ setups? Well, each of us should have a system or a edge over the market that we have tested over a series of data that we know is profitable, that we know is consistent. I touched on this in my last video. You guys can go check that one out. But anyway, I have one A+ setup that I like to use. And if you want to know more about that, click the mentorship below. But I have a setup where all the probabilities are in my favor when the setup is going on, and it has a very, very high success rate. I'm not interested in taking any other setups. I'm not interested in taking B setups, C setups, D setups. I'm only interested in taking my A+ setup because I know that my A+ setup works way more than it doesn't work. And I know the edge and I know the numbers behind that. So I'm okay with waiting. I'm okay with being patient. I'm okay with watching trades go by, B, C setups, and just being content with my one setup. When you are only sticking to one setup, there are going to be urges that creep in. There's going to be times where you're looking at the market and you're going, okay, I think it's going to go down, or I'm looking at the market and I think it's going to go up. You have to learn how to control those impulses, and it's okay if you think the market's going to go up. It's okay if you think the market's going to go down. The question is it going up with your trade setup? Is it going down with your trade setup? If not, you sit on the sidelines and you simply watch. Okay, so that is step number one on how I manage risk as a Forex trader. I only take high probable setups. Now, you may have a system where you have an A setup, a B setup, a C setup. Should the B and the C setup be the same risk as your A setup? No, I believe they shouldn't be, because it's a B setup and a C setup for a reason. It's a B setup and a C setup because it has a lower probability model, a lower chance of working out. So if that's the case, then you want to bump the risk down. There's been times where this has worked for me in the past. I just prefer to do the one setup now, but I've had my A+ setup and then I've had B and C setups where I risk 0.25, 0.5. That's another thing. I'm only risking 1% on my A+ setups, nothing more. Sometimes less depending if it's a funded account, if it's a challenge, sometimes more. If it's a challenge, it honestly depends, but one A+ setup with 1% risk does me very, very well. If you're a systematic trader like myself, this works very, very well. Okay, so let's jump on to the second point here. All right, guys, the second point here on how I manage risk as a Forex trader is I only take one setup per day maximum. Now, you may say, what if you're wrong and the market just took you out early or whatever it may be? I've tested everything. I've tested being in the market more times per day. I've tested taking 2 trades per day. I've tested no matter what, I will be in 1 or 2 setups per day. I've tested everything under the sun. And for me and my personality and just how I like to trade, one setup max is enough for me in one day. And that's not even saying I'm going in and taking a trade. I just mean if the opportunities are there and I take one trade and it's a win or a loss, I'm done. Because I know my A+ setup only comes around once a session. That's what the reality of it, right? I don't have an A+ setup that comes around 4 or 5 times a session. And in reality, I just don't think that is the case. If you're a day trader, if you're an intraday trader, the odds of an A+ setup happening multiple times in one session, so London, Asia, New York, whatever it is that you trade, are very, very slim. Usually when you miss that setup, it's done. You have to bring yourself back to a neutral state of mind and journal that stuff and then move on to the next day. That is our job as traders. If the market leaves without us, if we get stopped out early, if the market swerves us, or if we win, that is our opportunity that day. That's why we always have to be ready. That's why we always have to be in that state of mind where we are focused and we are ready to go. Because opportunities for my trading style, opportunities for your trading style may only come around once a session, may only come around a couple times per week. For example, I've talked about it in my previous video. If you guys haven't seen that yet, go check it out. I was talking about how February was slow for me. I had many, many missed limits, and I ended up finishing 3R in profit, which I'm very, very grateful for. But still, it could have been more. Coulda, woulda, shoulda been more. The limits that I missed ended up hitting TP, and they just didn't tag me in. So that's for a whole other story. But at the end of the day, once that setup happens and it's a win or a loss for me, I'm done. Because not only am I aware that my setup only comes maybe once a session, but it's how I feel. How do I feel after? I am totally okay with taking one loss. I'm totally okay with that. But 2 losses for me in a row in one session, I personally didn't like. I didn't like that. I've scalped. I've tried swing trading. Day trading obviously is what I stuck with, intraday trading. But for me, 1 loss or 1 win and I'm good to go, or no trades. So try that out. If you find that you are over trading, this could help you big time. I have guys in my group, girls in my group, people in my group that struggle with over trading, and they set themselves like 4 trade max limits or 3 trades per day. That's a lot of trades per day. That is a lot of 3 A+ setups per day. The odds of them being all A+ are very, very slim, right? So what I like to tell them is take 1 setup per day. Just try that. Because if you give yourself 1 setup per day, you are going to be very, very strict with that setup, as we should be already, because we should be trading our plan, but you get what I'm saying. If you give yourself multiple trades per day, then you're most likely going to take multiple trades per day that aren't even the highest quality setups. But by giving yourself a 1 trade max, that 1 trade that you take is going to be super high probable because you know it's your 1 shot at that day. Win, lose, if it misses, whatever. Because guess what, guys? Another opportunity is around the corner, right? Another opportunity could be there tomorrow, could be there the next day, right? There's no point revenge trading. There's no point putting so much emphasis on each given trade that if it misses, you want to run and try and jump into a loss right away. Because how many times has this happened to you? You're waiting for your setup. Say it just misses you. You try to chase it. Then you lose, right? How many times does that happen? How many times do you lose a trade, get super emotional, jump back into that trade? Now you've lost twice on the same setup. For me, like I just said, 1 trade, 1 session, 1 opportunity, and I'm done. And I'm grateful, and I move on to the next day, because that is how I keep myself sane. That is how I keep my mentality strict, and it's just great, because trading at the end of the day is you're going against your emotions, right? You're going against you're going against all these urges in your mind at all times, right? So keep it as simple as possible, because you're able to repeat simple processes on a daily basis. And something so simple as this, in the long run, is going to benefit you huge. All right, everyone. So let's jump into the third and final point. People have asked me, what do I do with my risk management by going break even? Do I roll my stop? All that good stuff. And again, I've tested it all. I've tried it all. I've tried not going break even at all, and then the market comes against me and I lose. I've tried going break even right away as soon as I'm at like 1R. I've tried everything under the sun, like I've said. And what works for me, what I like to do the best, especially managing larger capital now and going for 7 figures in funding like I've talked about in early videos, what works for me is going break even once the market starts to create structure in my favorite direction. So you may ask, what do I mean by that? What do I mean by structure? Say I'm looking for a long position and I get tagged in, and the market goes and creates a new higher high, higher low, then it creates a new higher high. Okay, so it goes up, down, up, and my entry's right here. What I will do is I'll move my stop loss to break even, because the market has now created a new higher high and a higher low in my favorite direction. That is when I will go break even. If the market goes and creates another higher high and a new higher low, I will then drag my stop. And this is what I've been doing a lot. I like this more than partials. I'll just drag my stop with structure until we hit my take profit. That's something I've been doing a lot. Vice versa for shorts. Say I'm in a short position and I'm looking to target down here. Once the market goes and creates a new lower low, and then a lower high, and then a new lower low, I'll go break even again. Sure, there's going to be times where the market comes against you and taps you at break even, but with my strategy and the data I've personally collected, this is far and few between. Okay, so it doesn't happen that much. Most of the time with my strategy, if the market does come back like it does, it's going to result in a loss. I would much rather mitigate that loss with a break even, and then like I said, that's my trade setup for the day, move on to the next day and see what amazing opportunities happen that next day. At the end of the day, guys, our job as traders is to manage risk. We are professional risk managers, right? Capital preservation is number one, and then we want to attack as much as we can. So by having our strategy and our system that is consistent, that has an edge over the market, and we know it like the back of our hand, with that, we're then able to manage our risk. And with that system, we are able to, beat the markets up, right? We are able to take advantage of what the market gives us. But at the same time, by managing our risk, we're preventing any emotional trades. We're preventing any times where you just lose your mind and take a bunch of losses in a row. Like I know all of you who are watching this, people who are experienced traders and people who are new traders, we all go through it. Remember, we are professional risk managers at the end of the day. Don't over leverage your account. There is no point. 1% risk max for me, in my opinion, is a great amount, unless you are going for a compounding account where you trust your system like crazy. You can do 2-3% risk. It's up to you. But in this video, I was just sharing you everything that I have learned personally from being in the markets. And this is exactly how I trade. This is exactly what I do. So I hope it helps some of you. If it doesn't, that's completely okay. This is my journal and my trading channel, and I just want to provide value that helped me and practices that I currently am using and applying in my day-to-day trading. So I appreciate you all. I hope you all had an amazing day. I hope you all enjoyed the second upload of the week. 2 uploads every single week, Wednesday and Sunday. And what do I say at the end of every single video, guys? Let's be 1% better every single day. I appreciate you all. If you enjoyed the video, drop a like and subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you all on Sunday.